Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. I'm Morgan Kelly, and I'm excited to be here with such an enthusiastic group of educators. Our focus today will be on vocabulary building strategies that you can use to help your students become more proficient readers. Particularly in grades 4 through 8, we'll dive into research-backed strategies that can enhance students' vocabulary knowledge, which in turn strengthens their overall comprehension skills. Our workshop goals for the day will be to understand the critical role of vocabulary in developing reading comprehension, to explore practical evidence-based vocabulary strategies for content area instruction, to engage in a hands-on activity that can be applied in your own classrooms, and to take away tools that will help your students build a deeper, more lasting understanding of academic language. By the end of this session, I hope you'll leave with at least one new strategy or idea to immediately integrate into your instruction, as well as a clear understanding of why vocabulary development is so crucial in the upper elementary and middle school years. Before we dive into strategies, let's take a moment to understand the research behind why vocabulary development is so important for our students' academic success. Vocabulary as a building block of comprehension. Research tells us that vocabulary knowledge is essential for comprehension. According to Lessard-Clouston, 2021, vocabulary includes both individual words and multi-word expressions or chunks, which all contribute to meaning. As Wilkins in 1974 stated, without grammar, very little can be conveyed, but without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed. This highlights the indispensable role vocabulary plays, not just in reading, but in communication and thinking in general. The link to academic success. According to Marzano and Pickering in 2005, vocabulary is a key indicator of academic success. A student's success in school, their ability to understand text, and their performance on standardized tests are all strongly correlated with the depth and breadth of their vocabulary. This is particularly true in content area subjects like science, history, and mathematics, where specialized vocabulary is critical. Building background knowledge. One of the most important ways vocabulary impacts comprehension is by building background knowledge. As students acquire new vocabulary, they form networks of information in their brains that help them make connections between ideas. These networks are essential for understanding more complex texts, especially when students encounter new or challenging topics. Here are a few key takeaways. Vocabulary is not just about individual words, but also about the phrases and multi-word expressions that contribute to meaning. A rich vocabulary supports background knowledge, which is critical for comprehension and academic success. As educators, we need to be strategic about how we introduce and reinforce vocabulary to support student learning. Now let's get into our vocabulary strategies for grades 4 through 8. Now let's dive into some practical strategies for building vocabulary in your classroom. We will look at a few strategies that are particularly effective for upper elementary and middle school students, with a focus on content area learning. The first strategy is concept sorts. Concept sorts are a great way to introduce new vocabulary and assess what students already know about a topic. How it works. Before reading a text, you provide students with a list of vocabulary words. Students sort the words into categories. These categories can be predefined by the teacher, or students can create their own based on what they already know. The key is that the sorting process allows students to make connections between words, their meanings, and how they fit into the broader context of the topic. For example, if you're teaching a science unit on ecosystems, you might provide words like predator, habitat, food chain, and decomposer. Students might sort these words into categories like living things and non-living things. Why this works is because this strategy activates prior knowledge and helps students create mental categories, making it easier to remember and understand the new vocabulary. The second strategy is possible synthesis. This strategy helps students activate prior knowledge before reading a new text. It encourages them to make predictions and think about how vocabulary fits into the larger context of the lesson. How it works is, before reading, provide students with a short list of vocabulary words related to the topic. Ask them to create sentences using those words based on what they already know. After reading, students review their sentences to see if they were accurate and revise them if needed. For example, if the vocabulary list is from a history lesson on the American Revolution, students might create sentences like, the revolution changed the way people lived. Or, independence meant the colonies could make their own laws. After reading, they can revisit these sentences and adjust them with the new information they've learned. Why this works is because this strategy encourages students to engage with new vocabulary actively and sets a purpose for reading. It also provides a chance for students to refine their understanding after they have encountered the text. The last strategy is word knowledge checklist. Word knowledge checklists are a great way to assess how well students know specific vocabulary words before and after a unit. How it works is you use a vocabulary knowledge scale where students rate their understanding of vocabulary words on a scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being, I don't remember seeing this word, and 5 being, I can use this word in a sentence. After the lesson or unit, students can revisit the checklist and reassess their knowledge, which helps reinforce learning. Why this works is because the checklist helps students monitor their own vocabulary development, and it gives you valuable insight into which words need more instruction or review. For our activity today, we're going to do a concept sort. On the screen, you will see a list of vocabulary words related to a topic. For today, let's pretend we're working with the social studies unit on the Civil War. Your task is to sort these words into categories. You can use the categories provided or come up with your own. After sorting, we'll discuss how these categories can help students understand the material better. The words for sorting are Union, Confederacy, Battle, Abolitionist, Emancipation, Civil Rights. Let's take a couple minutes to think about how you will categorize these words. If you're in a group, you can work together to discuss your reasoning. I hope you enjoyed the activity. Now let's discuss how students might group these words into categories like people, places, and events. In your class, make sure to highlight the importance of sorting words by their meaning and connection to the broader historical context. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned today. Vocabulary development is crucial for comprehension, especially in content area instruction. The strategies we discussed today are concept sorts, possible sentences, and word knowledge checklists. All are practical ways to help students build and reinforce their vocabulary knowledge. Effective vocabulary instruction is not just about introducing new words. It's about helping students make connections and understand how those words fit into their larger body of knowledge. So how might you integrate one of these strategies into your upcoming lessons? Can you think of any content-specific vocabulary that could benefit from these approaches? I'd love to hear your thoughts, questions, or any concerns you might have. Feel free to ask about specific strategies or share how you might adapt these ideas in your classroom. Thank you so much for participating today. I hope you feel more confident in using these vocabulary building strategies to help your students develop stronger reading comprehension skills. Remember, vocabulary is a gateway to understanding, and with the right strategies, you can make a lasting impact on your students' literacy development.